going, everybody? So we have a fun review today as we're finally talking the Fantastic Four first steps. Not only are we reaching the conclusion of the big July blockbusters, we're also kicking off a brand new era of the MCU, which if you've been following the channel, you would know I'm incredibly excited for. I mean, I even bought the crazy expensive Galactus popcorn bucket, so I definitely had to make sure I displayed it in the background for this. While this is kicking off a brand new MCU phase, I actually really love how much of a breath of fresh air this feels, not connecting to anything else really. Not that I don't enjoy when the MCU had a lot of interconnectivity to it, but because of the fact this isn't really connected to anything that we've seen before, the film really flourishes because they're able to do almost whatever they want to introduce us to this new version of the Fantastic Four. And just based on their first appearance in this movie, I think they've assembled the perfect team. Between this and WandaVision, this retro style, futuristic or otherwise, seems to be Matt Shakman's calling as a filmmaker. The overall aesthetic in First Steps is dazzling. The stylized 60s inspired look of everything visually is breathtaking, down to the production design, the costumes that everyone wears, not just including the really cool retro Fantastic Four costume. How much the film embraces the cosmic, more sci-fi elements, integrating them into the story, makes this Fantastic Four adventure feel much more vibrant and creative. Outside of maybe Guardians 3 or Eternals, this is probably the best looking Marvel film that we've seen in quite a long time. The film also does a good job balancing building the team dynamic overall, while just highlighting them in these big epic moments. The film in general isn't really heavily focused around the action, deciding instead to focus more on the team and trying to solve problems. Besides Franklin being born, Galactus is on the way making demands, trying to destroy the planet. Still doesn't mean there isn't a lot of fun Fantastic Four action to go around, considering if you include that 90s Fantastic Four film that didn't technically get released, we're now on the 4th iteration of Fantastic Four. While I do get some nostalgic charm out of the 2000s Fantastic Four team, they've never really been able to completely nail the team dynamic in a film. However, with this MCU iteration of the Fantastic Four, their family dynamic here, it truly feels like something special here. I mean, for lack of a better term, they are all equally fantastic. The heart, humor between them, and the bond they all have with one another, we're able to see that blossom over the course of the narrative working together. Several of my favorite moments in the movie aren't even the big action sequences. It's just seeing the relationship form between the Fantastic Four. Ebon Moss-Bachrach's The Thing, in many ways for me, is the heart of the film and the Fantastic Four. I adored his sense of humor the most and how he grounds the team, along with the sequences with Johnny feeling ripped straight out of the comics. Out of the four of them, Joseph Quinn's Johnny Storm was the one that took me a little bit more time to get accustomed to. Slowly over time, though, he did grow on me with his personality and how he jokes around. Several of his big moments as the Human Torch is what really truly sold me on the future of his character, potential interactions with other members of the MCU. When it comes to Pedro Pascal, pretty much anytime you see him in a role, no matter what it is, you expect a certain level of charm and charisma, and that's no different with Reed Richards. He definitely embodies Reed's leadership skills and rational thinking very well when faced with various difficult decisions. Being that I was somebody that was pretty nervous that in all the promotional material we didn't really get to see a lot of Reed's powers compared to everyone else, the stretchy powers in the movie, I think they're pretty awesome, but I could certainly see other people not being a big fan of them either. Besides Ebon, I think Vanessa Kirby might be my personal favorite among the Fantastic Four cast. There's a level of strength she brings to the team, emotionally and physically, that holds each of them together. And once events start getting pretty serious with Galactus's impending arrival, she delivers some pretty badass sequences unlike any of the other Sue Storms we've seen in the past. When talking about massive presences on screen, Galactus in this iteration is the perfect representation of the character in live action, capturing what makes the character such a threatening antagonist. How he factors into the film gives the conflict real stakes that, coupled with Silver Surfer's warning, anticipation of getting a glimpse at him, made me equally excited and also scared once he did finally appear. Because once he does show up, he's this overwhelmingly huge force of destruction tearing through everything, to the point where I didn't necessarily know how they could even stop him or defeat him in any way. Besides the fact that they completely nail the visual look of Galactus in this, he's not some giant dumb cloud. Ralph Ineson's menacing voice with every single line of dialogue practically shook me to my core. If you've ever heard Ralph Ineson speak in anything, whether that be like The Witch or The Green Knight, you would know he just has that perfect menacing tone. After how iffy I was about Shalabal, aka Silver Surfer, Surfer in this. Overall, I think that she was also pretty solid here, mostly thanks to Julia Garner's performance. I liked how she factored into the story, whether it be these menacing speeches for Galactus or the action. Due to how iffy some of the VFX work looked on her in some of the promotional material, I was kind of nervous about that, but in the actual final film, I do think visually she looks a lot better. That isn't to say there isn't some rough CGI throughout the movie. The majority of the examples I would say are rough CGI in this, as much as it pains me to say, are related to Franklin Richards, the baby. I don't know what it is with media these last few years, and they just can't nail babies in CGI. I really wanted to adore all of the different sequences that Franklin was a part of. There's definitely a handful of sequences where he is distractingly weird looking. Besides that, I do feel like some parts of the story were cut for pacing, since the plot in of itself at times does stretch a little bit thin. You know, I don't want to compare it to Mr. Fantastic, but there's some stretchy parts of the plot where you kind of just have to go with the flow, because some of it is a little bit convoluted. All around, I had a pretty great time with the Fantastic Four First Steps. It really does feel like a great big breath of fresh air for the MCU. The unique retro-futuristic tone of everything is delightful, visually dazzling, on top of the fact that Michael Giacchino's score is probably one of my favorites in the MCU. I think this film perfectly sets up a big future for the Fantastic Four in the MCU, and that's besides the fact that there are 2 post-credit scenes in this film that I highly recommend you check out, because I think they are both equally fantastic. Matt Shakman came out and said the Russo brothers directed one of them, so you can kind of guess where we're going here. When you get a chance to check out the Fantastic Four First Steps in theaters, though, make sure you share your thoughts down below. What'd you think of the film? Did you like the film? Did you not like the film? Thank you guys. As always, checking out videos, I always do appreciate it. Make sure to like on the video and also subscribe to the channel to update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Till next time, I'll see you guys later.